I know work-life balance is a phrase that people just love to hate on for some reason right now, but I think it's generally because we're not doing a great job of balancing work and life.
And so we just say it's not possible.
Yeah, we just dismiss it like we do everything else that doesn't seem to be within reach.
Cancel it.
Doesn't mean it's a great way to go about it. What we want to talk about today is how to have alignment with your work and life so that they can actually complement each other and not create a space for resentment or bitterness or tension in your family. So our goal for today's episode is to help you have a thriving family, and we're going to look at it through the lens of work-life alignment.
Welcome to the Family Goals Podcast. We are Shay and Graham Cochran, and we believe that your family can do things differently. The payoffs are worth it, and the little things can have a huge impact.
All right, welcome back to the show. We're pumped to hang out with you today. Thanks so much for liking the show and rating it and reviewing it on Apple Podcast and subscribing on YouTube. However you're consuming the show, we're honored. I've been getting great feedback from you guys, and it's just cool to know that it's making a difference in your lives. So
thanks for the comments, and thank you especially for those of you that have said what you want to see more of. That's so helpful.
Yeah, literally we'll make episodes around your biggest questions. So we may not have the best answers, but we will certainly talk about the things that are meaningful to you. So today we want to talk about work and work-life alignment for the simple reason that we spend a lot of our time working. So whether you work in the home with children, work out of the home for a company, or you work in your own business, or you have a fluid, flexible version of all three, we've kind of had all three of those in our marriage. This is for you because you spend so many hours working, and working is necessary, and we have to pay the bills. And so we go from something that we know we need to do, and it has its own complications of, are you doing the work you want to do, or are you in the season of work you want to be in, to the place where all of a sudden work is starting to affect family life. And we're willing to make some trades. Like we know, okay, someone's got to go to work or someone has to make money. So we're not surprised by that. But it's when work and life start to fight with each other. And if you have sensed any kind of resentment to your work or your spouse's work, any kind of resentment to the schedule that you're forced to work, any kind of resentment to travel related to work, or the Slack messages you're getting late at night, or I still got to do this thing. If you sense resentment, that might be an indicator that there's not work-life alignment. If your family isn't thriving, but your work is thriving, there's an indicator that something's not right, because they really aren't going to be mutually exclusive. They really should affect each other. So I've heard it said, if you're a success outside the home but not in the home, are you really a success? So there should be alignment there. But what's hard is when we feel like our family is pitted against our work, whatever work looks like for you, because that's what I think creates the irritation of I don't want to have to choose between my work and my family. And so we're not saying you have to choose, but what we do want to talk about today is that you want a thriving family. Work is important and necessary, but a lot of times the way we approach our work can be the culprit to the thriving family.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm working with a really cool small coaching group of women to help bring them into alignment in life. They're very successful in business, but there's misalignment somewhere because they're not enjoying it anymore. It's too exhausting. It doesn't fit their next season of life, so there's not alignment with where they want to be moving forward. And it's just been very interesting to walk through with them what their current reality is, really looking at all different areas of life, marriage, relationship with their kids, their physical health, their emotional health, spiritual health, their leisure, their fun, things like that. Where are they at? Looking across the spectrum of their life, all of those areas, what of those areas are in alignment with who I say that I want to be and what I say that I want to do, or what I want out of life, what I want life to be like? What of those areas are in alignment and what of those areas are out of alignment? And it's just interesting that one of the things that is a kind of a thread that connects all these people is the impact of work, specifically just the work bucket, on all of those other areas, the alignment in all of those other areas. So just an interesting thread that we want to kind of pull on with you guys today.
Yeah, and it's affecting people at all levels, right?
All levels of success.
Almost the more successful you get, the bigger the culprit work can be. So don't think it just goes away.
Yeah.
If I've made more money or I've had the job I wanted, it's still something we have to deal with. So there's the need here is for all of us at every level, whether you work in the home, out of the home, own your business, work for somebody else, or unemployed, like we've been all of those.
We have actually literally been all of those.
We need vision.
Yeah.
You need vision, which is another way of saying you need intentionality. There's this great line in the scriptures where King Solomon says, where there is no vision, the people perish. And the word in Aramaic for perish means to be empty or vacant.
Mm-hmm.
So where there is no vision, your life is empty.
And guess what you're filling it with?
Exactly.
Social media, food, toxic friendships, shopping.
Yay, welcome to America in 2024. So you don't want an empty, vacant life or family. You want it to be full of the things that are meaningful to you. And Graham and Shay can't define that for you, but you can define that for yourself. So to have a vision is to get really specific about what you want out of life. And then what we're talking about today is specifically, you want to start with vision for your life and your family. And the fun part about it is you get to pick what that looks like, dream a little bit. And then we want to make work fit and align with that vision and support that vision, not take away from that vision, come in conflict with that vision. And it may not be perfect and you may not be there yet, but it gives you something to work towards.
Yeah.
That way you're going to work. Work is going to be important.
Yeah.
You might as well make your work fit your vision of your life. Otherwise, you're going to do the other way around, which is what we do in America, which is money is so important. We got to make money and no one's going to say that it's not important. So
how much money do you want to make? More.
And so we have a decision-making filter that's not really a filter at all. It's like, does it make more money? I'll take the raise. Does it make more money? I'll move to the other side of the country.
I'll just reshape my life around
exactly.
work.
The life fits around the work, and that works for a while until it doesn't. And then there's resentment in the spouse or in your
breakdown
kids
in marriage or breakdown in your physical health, mental health, emotional health.
Exactly. So we're not saying work is not important. We're just saying work is a part of your life. So get really cool, clear vision for your life and family, and then let's find the way to make work fit and support that vision.
Yeah. So the way that I have loved working through vision with this group of women is in 3 parts. One is what would make life a successful life? Like, how will you determine whether your life is successful or not? And so we go through this exercise of creating successful life metrics. What would need to be true about your life for it to be a success? And we can circle back and talk more about that if you want, but that's one piece of it. One is like, how will you know at the end of your life if it was successful? How will you measure that? And getting really clear. And it's just fascinating what's on that list and what's not on that list. So you have that, right? Then you have, who do you want to be? Who is the person that you want to be? And one of the ways that I think a really powerful way of working through that for yourself is the idea of writing your own eulogy. And this isn't my idea. And there's a few thought leaders who do this. But if you were to die tomorrow, not 50 years from now, if you were to die tomorrow, what would be said about you at your funeral? And what do you hope would be? Like, what do you want to be said about you? Because all of that points to who you really want to be in this life, regardless of how much life you're given. Who do you want to be starting today? Who do you want to be? And then there's like, what do you want? And what are the applications of that for the next season of your life, which is that 3-year vision that you like to do with a lot of your coaching clients. Really, really powerful stuff. So I want to kind of like, maybe we can unpack those 3 tools a little bit more because all of them to get taken together, I think create an incredibly powerful vision for life. What you want to be true long-term, who you want to be, and what the implications are with aligning the next 3 years of your life to support that direction.
Yeah. So where do you want to start?
I don't know. I mean, successful life metrics, I feel like that has been really helpful for me. And literally all that was a bullet list of what I want to be true about.
Like age 80? Or...
Yeah, like how if I'm looking back at my life, let's take at age 80 and I'm sitting on a rocking chair with a glass of iced tea and I'm looking back at my life, like what is going to determine me saying, good job. Like I'm so proud.
Yeah.
That was a success. And what will I not care about? It really just kind of helps give some big picture perspective. So that was pretty simple. No more for me than a bullet pointed list. What was that exercise like for you when you've done that?
Well, it's interesting because when I did that exercise just a few months ago, nothing on that list really had to do with like achievement.
Yeah.
Even though I'm a type 3 on the Enneagram, I live for achievement, performance, accomplishing. I get a thrill out of accomplishing things. I'm project oriented. It's funny, like when I did that list, it was all relationships.
Yeah.
It was my relationship with God. Like I faithfully walked with Jesus my whole life. I was thinking about our girls. Like, okay, so if I'm 80 and they're in their 60s, you know, like we're still friends.
Yeah.
I've the way I thought about my time, like, oh yeah, it was a successful life because I had the time, made the time to be with my kids when they had kids, or be with my grandkids, or be at important events. Like I wasn't too busy gallivanting around being awesome Graham that I missed out on the people that mattered to me.
Yeah.
It was interesting that was what reframed in my mind.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that makes perfect sense. And it's not devoid of ambition, I think is one of the nuances there, because it is good and right to want to do meaningful work in the world, to have want to spend my hours doing something that I enjoyed, that felt meaningful, that felt impactful, that it was somehow shaping the world or contributing to the change in an industry or making someone's life better.
Yes, I think I lied a little bit actually, because that you reminded me, one of my metrics was that I had written a catalog of books. Like I had been an author, that I wrote like dozens of meaningful books that will live on forever, that I know had changed people's lives, but would leave a legacy of thought leadership that would be helpful, like mentorship. Not arrogant. Thought leadership can sound arrogant, but like if I want to mentor people, including my kids and their kids and then the world, if I could just write down the things that I've learned that have been helpful to me and leave a legacy of work, that was something that was at the end of my life of like, I did that. But it wasn't achievement in like, I sold this many copies of my book and made this. It was more of like, it revealed to me the reason I like being an author is because it's like a way to add to the body of work that people can enjoy in the library of the universe of like helpful information.
You can leave your thoughts for your children.
Yeah, that's meaningful for me. And that's what came up. It wasn't specifically like, you sold that many copies.
So what do you love about the best 3 years vision? Because you've done that with a lot of your coaching clients.
Yep. So this is a question that I stole from Rich Litvin, who I worked with as a coach, but he's a good thought leader as well. So the idea of like having a 10-year vision is just so far in the future, and maybe even the successful. It doesn't account
for your current season. That's what kills me.
Like,
you're just like, so you got to wait 10 years till your kids are grown, for
there's that
vision to
and then
be
10 years, it's really hard to predict what's going to happen in 10 years. I mean, think about where you were in life 10 years ago and who you were 10 years ago, like night and day. So it's just too far, I think, for either to be motivated. Some people are mega motivated, but most people aren't if it's too far in the future that you're going to see the benefit. And two, it's hard to know who you're going to be in 10 years. Then a lot of people do the opposite. They get excited about 1 year resolutions. And I actually like New Year's resolutions. People make fun of them. I like them because they create.
I make fun of them. By people, he's just talking about me.
I'm trying to be, happy life, happy wife. So don't like say what you mean, just like noodle it. But like, I like them because they create urgency. Like, man, let's freaking go. Let's make some change. The problem is it is hard to create a lot of life change in a year. And so you can easily fall off track and then get discouraged.
Get discouraged, yeah.
So what Rich Litvin talks about is the 3-year question. And the question is this: if you and I bumped into each other 3 years from now, and I'm like, hey, how the heck are you? I haven't seen each other since we were listening to that podcast together. And you say, Graham, this has been the best 3 years of my life. And I'm like, that is amazing. Let me buy you a coffee, sit down, like, tell me, like, why?
Yeah.
What would you be telling me about? What would have to be true for you to say it has been the best 3 years of my life? And that just becomes the journal prompt. Why I like this question for my clients and for myself is that it's past tense, which is I like the successful life metrics as well. It's past tense, not I hope this happens. It's like this. It just is. You're
creating it in your head.
Yep.
You're creating the future in your head first.
Pre-experiencing it. Yeah. You're creating new neural pathways. 2, I can 3 years is a magical time frame. I can kind of imagine my season of life 3 years from now. My kids will be just a little bit older. I'll be a little bit. It's close enough that I can kind of imagine where I'm going to be in life. And yet, you and I both know we can get a lot of damage done in 36 months. You can completely transform your marriage in 36 months,
yeah.
your body,
Your
in 36, your
finances.
finances, your business. So it's enough time to be like, well, I could dream kind of
Could do
big.
some damage
I could
in
do
3
some
years,
damage.
yeah.
And so it lets
But
you dream.
while accounting for your current season.
Yes, so
and
it's
it
close
starts
enough.
tomorrow. It's not like you have 10
Yeah.
years. It's like, if the next 3 years were the best 3 years, what would that look like?
Yeah, which going back to, let's say, work. Let's say if your work situation just really is not ideal right now and it's so hard. You're working 3 jobs or you're in a good job, but it's just so demanding or what. I can't change my job overnight, but I could make I could say, let's,
Make a
by
plan.
3 years,
I'm going to go back to school.
we can
I'm going to build
we can
my
have
own
something
business.
different. Yeah. So I find that's helpful for clients because here's a good example. A lot of my clients, they're business owners. So they come to me and they want to make more money. That's one of the things they want. And so I had a client who was like, I want to be making $100,000 a month. And then I made him do this
an
exercise.
insane amount
It's a lot
of
of money. And so I said, okay, well, that's great. Why don't you do this exercise, the 3-year vision? And so he came back after doing that. And he said, you know what was so surprising, Graham? He's like, when I did my best 3 years, because I had him read it, he's like, none of it had me making $100,000
Yeah,
a month
that's
in
beautiful.
3 years. In 3 years, I was like, well, I don't want to be living in Tennessee anymore. I want to be living in Florida, close to the beach. I want my wife to be able to work with me in the business, and we're both home together with our 4 kids. He envisioned all these things that had happened.
Yeah.
We rode our bikes, our little bike cruisers on the beach every day for an hour. Like he was just getting those are the things that he thought $100,000 a month would give him. And he's like, I don't need $100,000 a month.
Well,
to
what's
do
so
those
powerful
things.
about that is in that example specifically, he could probably start actioning on that
ASAP
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? Like he doesn't have to build a business that makes him $100,000 a
No.
month. He could literally start right away,
Yeah.
maybe next month. You know?
Because
That's
here's
just really
last
powerful.
thought here's the problem with money. Money is neither good nor bad. It's neutral. It's usually we want money for what money can give us.
Mm-hmm.
So the problem is we're too busy making money and thinking about money and stressing about money to ask ourselves, what do we actually want the money for? So these
Yeah.
vision questions, the eulogy, the successful life metrics, the best 3 years, it gets you to think beyond the money. Okay, if it's been the best 3 years of your life, it almost ignores money. If it has been the best 3 years of your life, what would have to be true? Some of those things are going to involve money, but it gets you to think past it like, oh, I really don't want money. I want this that I think money will give me. And then I'm like, okay, well, how much money does that actually take?
Yeah.
And then you can reverse engineer how much money you actually need.
Yeah.
But it gets you to go past the money question to the end goal question, which is what do I want life to feel like? Who do I want to be?
Yeah.
What really matters to me?
And do I need money? And how much do I need?
And how
Yeah.
much?
To do that.
You need
To
money.
pull
Our
it off.
dreams cost money most of the
Absolutely.
time, but the how much question we're usually way off, or we're not specific. So we're like, more is better. So let's just make more just in case.
Yeah. Yeah. So the third part about that is the really icky, like writing your eulogy practice. But I really think it's incredibly, incredibly powerful. What do you want to be said about you when you die? And I think it's more helpful, like I said, not to think 80 years from now, but like if I died tomorrow, man, what would people say? So I want to give you a little bit of an example of what I wrote because I just reworked this through for myself this week. And I didn't write it, like literally someone was going to read it. I just wrote it in bullet points. Like, this is what I want to be true about me and who I am. So examples include, she loved the Lord. I want people to say she loved God's word and she inspired me to love it and to read it. She loved God's voice and his presence. She helped me learn how to love it and how to enter his presence and hear his voice. She transformed my relationship with God, which transformed my family's relationship with God. I want them to say she was a joy to be around, full of joy and hope and wisdom. I want people to say she loved life. She was fun, funny, adventurous, enjoyed nature and trying new things. I want them to say she was full of God's word, always having a timely word to encourage or instruct or give wisdom. I want people to say that I was full of hope and trust and confidence in God. I want them to say that I loved my kids and my grandkids and my husband well, and instilled hope in others around marriage and parenting, right? So Family
Okay,
Goals
Family
podcast
Goals
is like in
podcast.
alignment with that. I want them to say that Shay was lighthearted because of her hope and trust in the Lord. And then I started to get specific, and I thought this was a really helpful nuance, is to get specific about what specific groups of people would say about you.
I like
So
that.
what do I want my girls to say about me? I want them to say that they wanted to be like the best parts of me when they grow up. I want them to say that they felt known by me. that they knew that I cared, that I was involved, that I was there to help them in all of life, that they felt helped by me, that they could come to me to be cared for and tended to, like mind, body, spirit. I wrote down Graham, like I want Graham to say that I was his very best friend and closest companion, and that his life was better, richer, more fun because of my presence in it, that I inspired him and challenged him and supported him. I said things like, what do I want my parents to say about me? Cool. What do I want my siblings to say about me? What would I want my friends to say about me? What would I want my employees to say about me? Like if I died tomorrow, what would I want my employees to say about me? What would I want my church community to say about me? What would I want my industry friends to say about me? What do I want, I think I already said, my siblings to say about me? So super powerful, because all this does is really solidify and crystallize who I want to be. And as I was working through this exercise, I was like, there are certain things that I'm really in alignment with. The way that I'm showing up for the girls, like the way that I'm using certain gifts, the way things are in our marriage. There are certain things, not all of that is perfect, but as I was going, it was like, man, there are certain things that are really, really in alignment. And then there would be things that I would write that I'm like, this is not true. Like, this isn't true today. I don't know that people would say this about me today. Wow. I don't know that Graham would say this. I don't know if the girls would say it. I don't know if my friends would say this. And so it really encouraged me, because there's a lot of my life that's really in alignment with who I want to be. Family Goals Podcast would be one of those things, right? And then there are very specific areas that I tend to neglect or not pay a lot of attention to that are just not really in alignment with who I want to be. And so the interesting implications, getting back to work, the interesting implications is the work that you're doing supporting and aiding you in being in alignment with who you want to be, or is it really hindering you being in alignment? And that's not to say that you can blame a lot of issues on work, and work is just preventing me from having a healthy marriage outright, or it's preventing me from being, I would love that, but I just can't because of work. I don't think we can blame everything on work, but it is valuable to say, you know what, this business that I created, or this line of work, or the particular clients that I'm working with are a perpetual barrier to me really showing up in life the way that I say that I want to show up, and being the person that I really say that I want to be. And so if that's true, what can I do about it? How can I take ownership of this and make a change in the right direction? So
that's the right word, ownership. So it's alignment is both the problem, we're out of alignment, and then the goal, get in alignment with your work and your life. And that starts, well, we don't know what to be aligned with if we don't have a vision. Yeah. So you got to get a clear vision. And so you could do the best 3 years vision as a couple. I would really encourage it. Like as a couple, if we were to bump into Graham and Shay 3 years from now and say, Graham and Shay,
if Graham and Shay were to speak at Graham and Shay's funeral?
No, but it's like, I'm thinking about the best 3 years. Like if it's been the best 3 years of our, Graham and Shay's been the best 3 years of our life, what would you have to say as a couple for that to be true? So just journal that out together and dream a bit like, man, there's some good in our life right now, but what do we want to be true 3 years from now? So like dream together, create that vision together, so your life is not void or vacant or empty, but it has that clarity and purpose. And then when you look at the work, for both of you, if you both work, if one of you works outside the home, if one of you, even if working inside the home, if that's not working, if that's creating resentment, like what changes? And then look at what parts can we take ownership of? Like the people that ultimately love their lives are the ones that decide to take ownership on the things they can take ownership on. Like the people that don't are the ones that just point at all the things they have no control over. And believe me, there's a lot we have no control over. But it's really irrelevant. We all know there's things that we have no control over. So what are we going to do about things we do have control over? And the great news is, if you just start to dream a little bit and vision cast a little bit and get honest, if you're willing to say, this isn't working so well. Like for example, in my business, like if I find myself in a season where I'm launching a lot of things and it's like a lot of time sensitive pressure, like push stuff, like I'm like, I don't want to be doing this. So like what changes can I make in my business to make it more evergreen and more like perpetual sales and more like light lift, and not have to be like, this is the week we, double down. I have control over, there's a lot more I could get curious about that I could change. And so if you have a business, you can make those decisions. If you have a career, you can make those decisions.
One of my clients, as an example, was saying that when she did this, she realized that there was a certain type of client that she was working with that was wrecking all of this havoc on
Wow.
her emotionally, that was then spilling out all over the family. So it's
Oh,
having
wow.
implications in marriage and family
That's
and all
good.
these other areas of life. And it was cool because when she was kind of lining everything up and asking herself, like, is this in alignment? Is this in alignment? And this is in alignment. There actually was a lot in her life that was in alignment,
Mm.
but these particular types of clients inside her work was just spilling out and making it feel like everything was a mess and was not
Wow.
working, and she wasn't able to show up the way that she really wanted to be. And so the light bulb for her was like, I just need to fire those 3 clients.
That's awesome.
And it's like, there's actually a lot of life that's much better than I think, but I'm living in this day-to-day of working with these clients, and it's making me feel like everything's out of alignment, and it really isn't. So
That's a
just
great
another like
example.
kind of nuance of
Yeah.
what you can be looking at with work if you have ownership over that, especially as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I love that. And then just a final thought here I'm thinking of is whatever your work situation is, whether you work for someone else or work in the home, like as a couple, if you're married, you really have to have these discussions together and be able to honestly share like, hey, like, babe, like, you know, I find that like you get really stressed with these kind of situations. Like, is there something that we can be doing to support you and to remove some of that stress? Is there something that you're fearful of that you need help with? Or like, are there any changes we can make? Like, is there even like you take a job that pays less money, but it frees up some of the mental stress and anguish and maybe some of the time, like being willing to have the honest conversations about, hey, we want to all thrive together. And so are we happy with the situation?
Yeah.
And what can we
Is this
do?
really working?
Is this really working? And what can I do to support it? Not like pointing out all the problems, but trying to look for solutions as creatively as a couple. I think it just opens the door. Like, you may not have a good solution right now. And again, it may not be possible in the next 6 to 12 months, but maybe 3 years from now, you could fully have arrived at like a better situation. And what could we be doing today to start
To move us in that
pivot?
direction.
So instead of
Yeah.
complaining about it or resenting, let's start making some action today. And you just really got to have those conversations
Yeah, it's good.
together.
Just get curious together about, well, what would it take to change this? What would it take to bring this into alignment?
Yeah. And just a little word picture here. Again, alignment is such a great word because if you have a car, let's say that's like the wheels are out of alignment,
Mhm.
you can still drive that car.
Mhm.
You might not even notice the wheels are out of
That's a good
alignment
point.
for a while, but eventually it gets worse and worse and worse. And it
It
becomes,
affects other things in the car.
yeah. And then it
Yeah.
creates a more expensive repair bill.
Mhm.
And so you could probably keep running for years.
Yeah, it's a great analogy.
Misaligned, but it doesn't mean it's going to be healthier. And it doesn't mean you're enjoying it now. So like, it's worth to say, let's just get things realigned. It's easier. The car runs easier. It steers easier
Everything
when you're in
functions the
alignment.
way it should.
And your family is different than ours. So let's get aligned with the way you're wired and
Yep.
what your family values, not what the rest of the world's doing.
Love it. All right. Rapid fire. What's one thing that you're grateful for?
I am grateful that you and I are about to go out to Colorado Springs together and just have a little trip
Yeah, we are.
together. I love hanging out with you and doing travel. So
Yeah.
I'm grateful for that upcoming and getting excited about that.
Yeah. Me
What
too.
about you?
I'm grateful that summer's not over yet because, to be honest, I've worked a lot this summer, more than I really would have liked to. And so the hardest stuff is kind of wrapping up, and I have a lot more openness over the last few weeks. And so I'm just like really grateful
Yeah.
that it's not quite over yet. And
Heck
I can, not that I need to redeem some of that, but I'm just grateful that there's like some weeks
Yeah.
where it doesn't have to be the way that it has felt like it's been this summer for me.
I love it.
Just being
Let's go
honest.
summer. Let's have summer year round. Hey guys, thanks for hanging out with us today. I hope this has been a gift and a blessing to you. If so, share it with somebody that you think could benefit from this episode. And as always, we'll see you on another episode real soon.
Bye.